So essentially, for my area, these three colors are going to end up being a stripe kind of down the middle because those are the summer, the hot temperatures. And then these colors are going to flip-flop on either side of that. Hey Sugar Snaps, welcome to the Textile Indie YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Brittany. Here on YouTube, I share tutorials and inspiration in spinning, knitting, wet felting, basketry, and other fiber arts, and I'm really glad you're here. Today I want to share the setup for a project I'm taking on for the year of 2024, which is a temperature blanket. If you're not familiar with the concept of temperature blankets, it is a blanket that's either knit or crocheted, it's crafter's choice, and it has 365 rows. Each row represents a day. Every day you're knitting or crocheting a row of the blanket, and each day the yarn color that you are using corresponds to that day's temperature. You create a data sheet where you have temperature ranges, and for me that range is going to look slightly different than somebody else in a different part of the world that's either hotter or colder than my area. So for my blanket, I'm going to have 12 different data points because I'm working with 12 different yarn colors. Each day I'll take the temperature high for the day, and the color that corresponds with that temperature, I will crochet a row across my blanket. Several weeks ago, Bailey and I worked with Ganxxet, which is a macrame knitting and weaving supplies brand. So we connected with Ganxxet once again, and they gifted me a great box of yarn. So I'm going to open that with you here in a minute. I just wanted to say thank you, Ganxxet, for providing the wonderful colors of yarn. I'm really excited to get my hands on them and see all the colors in person. So far, just seen them online. I'm going to open it up and see what colors are in here. So excited to open this up and see what they look like. Oh my gosh, the colors are so pretty. This one's baby blue, azure, melon, dusty pink, berry red, ochre, chartreuse, eucalyptus, light heather gray, steel gray, and chocolate. So here's some of the yarns up close. This is cotton yarn, so it's pretty stiff as far as the texture goes. It's not rough, it has a nice soft texture, but I'm actually excited that this has a firmer ply to it, a firmer texture, because it'll make it a little bit easier to start crocheting with. And I've been playing around with some samples, and as I worked with it, it began to soften as I crocheted with it. So I'm not worried about the texture being too rough or too firm. I think starting out that's going to make it easier, and then it'll soften up as I work with it. I pulled out some of the yarn. It's fingering weight. I started practicing with a pattern, and the pattern called for slip stitch. And as I did a few rows, I realized I didn't really like how that was looking with a single row across. I would need to do 2 passes to make my colors stand out. So I decided to play around with doing it with single crochet instead, and I'm really happy with how this upper section of the pattern is turning out. So I'm definitely going to do the single crochet, and it's kind of a zigzag striped effect. Around this time next year, I'm going to go around the edges and do a little border to kind of finish off those edges. And I will have a blog post on my temperature blanket that I'll update regularly about how this is going, and you can see the pattern that I use in that blog post as well. To make my temperature graph, I used the fact that I have 12 different colors to utilize for my temperature blanket, and then from there broke down the temperatures that are most common in my area into 12 different categories in increments of between 5 degrees and 10 degrees, depending on how common those are in my area. Now I need to choose which color gets assigned to each of these temperature ranges. So essentially, for my area, these 3 colors are going to end up being a stripe kind of down the middle because those are the summer, the hot temperatures, and then these colors are going to flip-flop on either side of that. So here is the layout of colors. Now I need to fill out this guy to have it meet up with this color pattern that I just created. I filled out my temperature card with the name of the yarn from Ganxxet. That way, if I happen to run out of yarn from what I have in stock, I can always order new skeins from them because I know the color. The dye lot might be off a little bit, but the nice thing about the temperature blanket is that the colors are supposed to be striped and supposed to be different. So I'm not too worried about running out of colors, but just in case, I'm not really worried about dye lots being different. I want to thank Tony from TL Yarncraft for initially inspiring me to make a temperature blanket. I actually hadn't heard about this project or this idea until I started watching her channel. And I am super excited to start this. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I am doing that. And it just so happened to be the end of 2023, so it's like, this is good timing. We really enjoyed working with the macrame. It's a nice, sturdy cotton cord that's made out of recycled materials. And so I was like, I want to try their knitting materials. So decided to use this recycled cotton yarn for this crocheted temperature blanket. Getting it set up, I'm just getting stoked. I haven't done a project that's lasted a full year that's like an everyday for a year thing. So looking forward to this one. I have chosen to crochet my temperature blanket this year because crochet is not something that I spend a lot of time doing. I want to get better at it, and I tend to gravitate towards knitting, not because I don't like crochet, but I don't really have a good reason. After playing around with some gauge swatches and testing the yarn in the pattern that I want to work with, I decided to go with a size US-E crochet hook, which this crochet hook doesn't actually have the millimeters on it, so I'm going to have to reference that, and I'll put it on the screen here. If you want to see updates on how this project is going, join my email update list. You can find the link in the description below. I will be sending out a twice-a-month email with updates on whatever videos have come out, blog posts, social media posts, as well as updates on my temperature blanket. With all my information gathered and my temperature card made, it is time to pack my basket so that I have everything ready to go. What I've decided is to leave this basket next to my couch with all of the yarn readily available in it, add my crochet hook and my temperature card, have all the tools and materials and everything in here, pair of scissors, all of that, so that when I sit down to work on this, everything's ready and I don't have to scramble around to find all of the things. Doing some crochet every day isn't always feasible, so I may end up doing multiple days at once, which means that I need to track temperatures or somehow keep a record of temperatures so that I can reference that when I do sit down and know where I left off and where I need to pick up. I'm hoping my speed at crochet increases exponentially this year because currently I'm very slow, which is quite all right. It's going to be a challenge to get this project done. Well, I am well equipped and ready to start my temperature blanket. It's going next to my couch where I can get to it easily in the evenings or early mornings. And my crocheting schedule is going to be Friday because I can spend some time in the mornings on Friday doing some rows. But that's not going to be enough time to be able to do all 7 days for the entire week. So I am probably going to try to get into a routine of doing it mornings or evenings every other day or so, but have Friday be an assigned work day. And then my goal is to track the highs of the day in my phone and keep a running list so that when I do sit down, I can just glance at that and I don't have to go digging through a weather app or something like that. I can just reference my notes. Thanks again, Ganxxet, for providing the materials for this project. I've put resources below to the Ganxxet materials. If you saw these colors and fell in love with them like I did, you can find those listed below. If you are doing a temperature blanket or some other project that you're going to be working on every day throughout the year of 2024, or whenever you're watching this video, I would love to hear about it. Leave a comment below. Happy holidays, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful time with friends or family, or however you celebrate this time of year. The next time I see you, it'll probably be a new year. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the Textile Indie YouTube channel. I really enjoy getting to do this, and I'm looking forward to another year full of tutorials and projects. Until next time, happy making. See you later. Bye.